Hello and welcome again to Seven Rivers Talk with Bob Burrell. I'm very, very happy today to be pleased to welcome our two guests who are Mark Neuman and his wife Sue, and we thank Mark and Sue so much for taking the time to be with us. As you know, Mark Neuman is running for governor of the state of Wisconsin. He has a wonderful background in both business and in politics, and I hate that word politics, but I should say a background in trying to work with government to make government smaller, more efficient. And in his 4 years in Congress way back in 1995 to 1999, he and a group of other people really helped to reduce taxes and to help our country boom along, so to speak, in terms of its capital improvements and its overall improvements for the constituents of this country. So Mark and Sue, thank you very much for being with us today.
It's great being here.
You're welcome.
Mark and Sue are in the city of La Crosse, and they'll be here for another couple of days. And then they'll be touring around the country, I'm sure, until at least through the September primary and on to the gubernatorial race in November. Your background, Mark, is not a typical politician's background. You've got a really fine balance of business, and you might want to just quickly tell our viewers what that is all about.
Well, I started as a math teacher. All of my training and education is in the field of education. 4 years into teaching math, we were struggling to pay our bills. We had our second child, and we decided to take a chance on the American dream and start a business in the basement of our home. Eventually, the business prospered. We started building homes a few years later, so we became a home builder. Lost $20,000 plus my salary the first year, and would have lost it the second year if we hadn't turned things around, but we did, and we brought in some new technology, and the company boomed. By 4 years later, we were building about 120 homes a year, providing about 250 job opportunities in Wisconsin, and things were going really well for our family.
Boy, that's a real Mark Neuman success story, but it's actually Mark and Sue Neuman.
It is, and family. They're all involved. This was not just a business thing. Sue and I actually met in a 4th grade Sunday school class, and we literally, I can tell you what she wore to 6th grade when we did our Christmas things, and confirmation class, and we dated through high school, and it's a team effort, and it's a family effort for the whole thing.
And you're still sweethearts, and that's really
That's right.
That's key. You've got you have children and grandchildren.
We do.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have three grown children, all married, and 3 precious little grandsons.
Wow,
Mean everything to us.
what a blessing that is.
It is.
So, and in fact, when you're on the road, as you both are now, I think your business is now being handled by your eldest son?
Youngest son.
Youngest
actually.
son.
Yes.
Right.
My oldest son actually took over my other passion, which is education. We started 3 schools in the inner city of Milwaukee, our first one 7 years ago, and our school system has grown to 3 schools in Milwaukee and 1 in Phoenix, Arizona. Our focus is urban education. We work with inner city kids that are failing in the public schools, and we bring them into our school system and have managed to be very successful with them. We have over 1,000 kids, or right around 1,000 kids in the school system today.
Right.
They're advancing academically 5% faster than an average child across America, and we get the highest risk kids, and we're doing it at about 40 cents on the dollar less than the public schools are spending.
What a record! You know, what an incredible record that is. Whatever made you kind of evolve and move from this successful area of both doing education, as you would, that is, as a private citizen, but also in your business, going from that into the into a pretty horrific schedule of running for office, as you did when you ran for Congress?
You know what, the reasons this time around are virtually the same as they were the last time, and for us, you know what, I don't know if you know this story, but for us there was really a life-changing event that got us involved in politics. We had no political background at all. I didn't know anybody in politics, knew absolutely nothing about it. And our family took a trip to Washington, D.C. I'll blame Sue for that as well, because I wanted to go up north fishing, to be honest. But she said, you know, we've never really been out of Wisconsin. We've got 3 kids, and they ought to see our nation's capital. We made a reservation to stay for 2 nights. We stayed for 6. And we got out there, and we just started touring the monuments. And you know what? I still get goosebumps every time I tell this story. You go to the Washington, and you go to the Lincoln. You walk up the stairs to the Lincoln Memorial, and it's almost like Abe's looking down at you going, what's going on in my country? And what are you doing in your generation to preserve America for future generations? And how are you doing with the fundamental principles upon which America was founded? And we started getting a very patriotic feeling that there's more to life. Our businesses were very successful at that point. Our kids we were active in our church and with our kids in their school. Everything was going right in our lives at that point. And we started asking ourselves, so in this great country where we've had the opportunity to live the American dream, are we doing our part to make sure that future generations have those same opportunities? Excuse me. We went from there out to Arlington National Cemetery, I guess that's probably was the final straw in terms of getting us to come home and get involved in the political things that are happening in America, because we were so concerned with it. You see those rows and rows of white headstones out there, and you realize that America is not something that just accidentally happened. And the opportunity for us and our family to live the American dream, start a business in the basement of our home, be successful with struggle, worked hard, but be successful with it, that's something that it just doesn't just happen. People have sacrificed everything to give us that privilege and that opportunity. And we here in our generation, it's our responsibility to pass that on to the next generation. And you look around America, back then when I ran for office, huge debt, growing deficits, Ross Perot running those eerie numbers across the screen telling us we were financially doomed, hundreds of thousands of jobs leaving America. At that point, they were going to Mexico. I don't know if this sounds familiar, but growing debts,
you know, what goes around comes around, and,
sure.
and we're on that other yin of the yang right now.
We are, and,
right.
and when people say, so Mark, you've been back in the private sector for 12 years, we're back in the building business, back in real estate, and our companies are surviving the downturn. We're doing pretty well, actually. Why would you again put your businesses aside and run for office? And the answer is the same as before. This country didn't happen by accident. People from the private sector throughout our history have risked their lives and have risked their fortunes to be sure that this country can be passed on to future generations with the same types of opportunities that we've had. I think Sue mentioned we have 3 beautiful grandchildren. I think about those kids and when they grow up and where they're going to find their job. And is it going to be Wisconsin, or is it going to be Mexico, or China, or India?
Sue, you have many, many roles that you play along with this fine young man of yours.
It's been quite a ride.
Absolutely, but you also helped in business.
As much as possible. I mean, when the kids were little, of course, that was actually we decided
Right,
together
right.
for me to stay home and take care of the kids,
Right.
and that's partly why he left the teaching and went into, we started our own business, because I wanted to stay home and take care of the kids myself. So that's been a really wonderful,
Exactly.
wonderful blessing.
Well, you're a wonderful support for a wonderful man here, because sometimes, you know, men politicians are out by themselves, but here you are. What a great friend and companion to have along, Mark.
An equal in every respect, and she sells herself short. She not only was very successful and instrumental in our kids turning out the way they've turned out, but she was also a tremendous help to me every step of the way.
I'm talking to Mark and Sue Neuman. Mark, as you know, is running for governor of the state of Wisconsin. Sue, his faithful companion for a long, long time, and they are a success story. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back, that is, in a moment or two. And another young man is going to join us. His name is Scott Intervold. He is a Wisconsin businessman like you are, but he's more of a local businessman for this area. And both of you will talk about the state of Wisconsin and where we are today in terms of businesses, attraction, and that sort of thing. And then the third segment, Sue will be back, and next time around I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question that you're going to have to, talk about.
And I don't get any warning ahead of time?
Exactly. I'm Bob Earl for Seven Rivers Talk. We'll be back in a moment.